If you have 100 critical reviews, over all categories, our success rate is right around 10%. So what that means is if you have 100 critical reviews, we usually can remove about 10% of those. But what I will tell you is out of those 100, we're not filing cases on every single critical review. Like it literally needs to violate Amazon's guidelines.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the E-Commerce Pros podcast. My name is Rob Wiltsey and I'm here with Shane Barker. He is the CEO, founder of TraceFuse. They help Amazon sellers get reviews removed that should get removed because of Amazon's policies and things like that, and also with online reputation management. I'm so excited to talk today about what he does, and I think this is going to be a really valuable episode for everybody. So Shane, thank you so much for being on the E-Commerce Pros podcast.
And Rob, thanks for having me, man. I've been thinking about this all week. This is going to be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So for those listeners that don't know you, which I think a lot of people do know you, you're a popular guy, but give us a little bit about your background and how you even wound up with TraceFuse, where the idea for TraceFuse came from, and kind of how you got here.
Yeah, so my background is kind of interesting. So I didn't necessarily grow up in the Amazon space. I actually grew up in digital marketing. So that's really where I cut my teeth. I did a lot of websites online, SEO before it was SEO. Influencer marketing was something that really took off and that I was a heavy part of. And I actually ended up teaching at UCLA because of that. They wanted a practitioner. And so I helped create the curriculum with a friend of mine, a good colleague of mine, Amanda. So I've had interesting where I've always pretty much owned my own businesses, but worked in academia a little bit as well. And the crazy part is TraceFuse came out of, like anything, we were working, a lot of my customers were, with Shane Barker, obviously, because we didn't have TraceFuse yet. And so I was working with like a lot of direct to consumer, like D2C type brands. And I asked him, said, hey, what are your biggest pain points with Amazon, right? I was looking to create a software or a SaaS or something like that. Because I felt like I'd missed the opportunity with like when I was doing SEO and with influencer marketing. By the time I had said, oh, I should do this, I had all kinds of friends that were doing it. And I was like, I don't really want to compete with my friends, even though I do like to beat up on my friends every once in a while, if I can, So, but I figured, let's leave them, let them do, they have families and stuff to, they need to make money. So let me look at the Amazon space. And so they, the clients that I talked to said, hey, reviews are, kind of the core of Amazon. We have some issues with certain things. And we did a lot of assessments talking to sellers and even talking to mentors in the Amazon space and kind of figuring out where that opportunity was at. Well, the good part is that we realized that reviews were a big part of this. And I just said, hey, listen, I think we can take care of the review thing. I have a history in reputation management. I used to do a lot of things for celebrities back in the day where, somebody was bad mouthing a celebrity online. We can help get it pushed down. We had some, really it's SEO, but it's just, a little different way of putting up profiles and doing things. And so I worked with a lot of celebrities and I kind of had a good idea on, what I thought was fair and what I didn't think was fair and how we're going to be able to put a strategy forward with that. So I thought it was going to be just as easy with Amazon, right? I mean, said, hey, getting reviews removed shouldn't be that difficult. Started talking to some sellers and they said it's very, very difficult. And I was like, here, hold my beer. Like, I'm not a problem. Like, we're going to make this happen. Give me a few weeks. Humbled. I was humbled very, very quickly. I've never been that humbled that quickly in my life. It took 2 years to crack the code on how to file cases, which department to file with, what to put in the case filings, how to get Amazon to react to, either case filings that we're doing or emails that we're sending to Amazon. So, we don't have like a connection at Amazon that hooks us up. And we do a lot of the same things that other people do, except we just have the history of 2 years of being able to figure it out. Most sellers, obviously, you don't have 2 years to try to figure it out, right? It's not worth their time because they've got a million other things going on. We hyper-focused on it. And, ShaneBarker.com was feeding that, as like and so we bootstrapped it all the way from, obviously we started about 5.5 years ago. We went live to the public about 3.5 years ago. And now we have 700 brands we work with and we have removed over 16,000. We might be close to 17 now, but at least 16,000 reviews that we've removed. So we're very, very happy with that number. But I'll tell you, the process was not easy. And, it's Amazon. So no different if you're on Walmart or any platform, there's always complications. You don't own the platform. They're going to make changes and that happens. But at the end of the day, we've had a great success on Amazon. And that's really where we're focused right now. And just in US, UK, and Canada are the three marketplaces that we provide, obviously support for sellers. So we're looking to branch out of that. We have some other things we're working on, but I figure we'll keep it on TraceFuse today and kind of talk about what we got going there.
Totally, yeah, and you can tease those other things as we go as well, for sure. Anything goes here. So maybe help the listeners understand like what is review removal? What are some reasons and mechanisms by which you can get reviews removed?
Yeah, so originally we were looking at what really got my goat in the industry, which really, one thing that really bothered me was the fraud. There was fraud that was happening. And so what I really wanted to do is figure out how do we look at black hat stuff, right? Things that shouldn't be happening. I did the same thing in the SEO space. There was a lot of black hat stuff that would happen, gaming the system and stuff like that. And, I didn't like some of the stuff that I was seeing, was hearing what was happening to sellers. And so that was our big thing, or the reason for doing this was to help sellers. I mean, obviously, want to make money and be profitable, but I also was looking at this and it's already hard enough to run your own brand anywhere, even outside of Amazon, and to have people come in attacking you. So that was one of the main things that we looked at, was hey, what can we do to be able to stop that? So reverse engineering of that made us realize, hey, wait, not only can we take a look at that, which that doesn't happen all the time, right? That's not every client gets hit. And when we clean that up and be able to get a buyer's account removed, that's awesome. But that's also, when that's done, it's done. So what we looked at is wait, what's continuously coming in and is going to be reviews that violate Amazon's guidelines, right? So we're looking at anything. When we talk about guidelines, you can look in Amazon plus, Amazon's, community guidelines. And really the biggest things that we look for, the biggest, I would say, violations are mentioning competitors, right? So a good example of that could be something that could either be very innocent or very strategic, where, I really love these Nike Air Max. They're very comfortable on my feet, but I'll tell you, nothing compares to my Adidas X1s that I absolutely adored, Well, if you look at that, you're like, oh, that's a 5-star review. That's awesome, right? Or a 3-star review. And you look at it and you go, wait a second, is that complimenting Nike or is that saying you should go buy Adidas, right? So Amazon kind of caught onto that and said, hey, you can't do that, right? Whether it's a legit review, it could be a legit person that really believes that. The problem, what you're saying is, don't buy this product, go buy this product. So Amazon said, hey, we don't like that. And then another one is, pricing. So we said, hey, oh my God, I bought these earphones right here. I bought them for $200 on Amazon for Prime Day. Great deal. Went back to go buy a pair for my wife, and now I see that they're $350. Don't go and buy them. This is a ripoff. Well, guess what? Amazon, that obviously affects sales. And, great, if you could have got them on Prime Day for $200 and you didn't, then they don't want people not buying them or just waiting for Prime Day. That can really crush sales. So that's another one that we see. And then people that just fly off the handle, that just lose their marbles and throw all kinds of beautiful cuss words into reviews and, do this and talk about a scam and sham and this and all this stuff. Well, those are ones that we can go after, because once again, it can be a legit review. It can be how you truly feel, but you can't use the S word, F word, all the other words that play into that. You can't do that, right? So those are going to be the main ones. The other really big one is Amazon FBA, right? So if something got shipped out late, broken, or used, those are things that we look at. And Amazon very clearly says, hey, listen, that's our problem, right? That's not your problem. But the issue is Amazon stops, I would have to say, probably a good percentage of those, but they don't stop all of them, right? There are some that kind of get through. This is a terrible analogy, especially with what's going on in Mexico right now. But I always think about drugs going through the front line, going into the US. They might stop 5 of the vehicles, the other 5 get through. It's kind of the same thing with Amazon, which I'm not comparing the cartel to Amazon, so I don't want to make sure that's getting put out there. But the idea of it is that Amazon doesn't stop every single one. There's ways around, and people figure out, systems and stuff. So we look at those reviews, and those are the reviews that we say, hey, Amazon, this is your rules, right? You're saying you can't use the F word in a review, which we all agree with. You shouldn't be cussing on the platform. This is a review that clearly uses the F word, and we'd like to get this removed. And so I make it sound very simple. That wasn't 2 years of research just to do that. The thing is there's just a lot of nuances and things that we look at: the type of review, when the review came in, what is the buyer profile, if they've written tons of 1-star reviews for your company and only given 5 stars to another company and your products are very similar, then we do an escalation case. So once again, there's a million different scenarios, and what we do, the AI that we use, is just to be able to say whether it's compliant with Amazon's guidelines. And then we have humans or people that actually do the filings of the cases. And that's because that's the way Amazon wants it. And we love AI, believe in AI. We've been using it for 3 years before it went crazy and everybody's using it now. What we did is we wanted to just once again have that human factor to make sure that what we're filing is going good. And we have certain strategies and stuff that we wouldn't rely on AI to do, that we know internally just from doing it wrong for 2 years, really is what it comes down to. So we've been able to build that up. The good thing now is that if we have, if let's say there's a department at Amazon that you no longer can file reviews, we're usually the first company to know because we're filing so many reviews, right, for our customers. We have 700 brands. So if we see something dry up, Amazon moved it or did something different, we're usually the first to know because of that, because of the volume. Now we have the data to be able to say, hey, we used to be at a 12% success rate. Hey, we're at a 4% now. What's going on? Is it the templates? Is it what we use? And so we're constantly evaluating, right? Because Amazon constantly changes. So we're constantly having to figure that out. But having that data has been very, very valuable for us to be able to, make decisions for our customers. And the good part for customers is they only pay when a review gets removed. They don't pay for case filings because that would be way too much money for them. I promise you that. So they only pay for results.
Hey everybody, I'm taking a quick break here to tell you about VideoFresh. So if you are an e-commerce seller that needs some video content made, that is what we do. So my team does amazing work creating these really beautiful looking product videos. They're great for Amazon ads, for your product listing pages, for social media, anything you need. We make the process really, really easy. So if you're interested, visit videofresh.co and let's get into it.
That's awesome. That sounds like a great model. And so how many reviews do most products have? Like, is there a reliable percentage of reviews that most products have that sellers don't even realize they could just be getting those removed because odds are there's enough violations in their set of reviews? And what's the success rate of a particular review getting removed?
Yeah, great question. So really what it comes down to is that there's the way that I tell people to look at it is that the numbers can be very easy. If you have 100 critical reviews, over all categories, our success rate is right around 10%. So what that means is if you have 100 critical reviews, we usually can remove about 10% of those. But what I will tell you is out of those 100, we're not filing cases on every single critical review. Like, it literally needs to violate Amazon's guidelines. We need to have very clear evidence that that's happening. We can file on reviews that maybe don't absolutely violate their guidelines, but aren't that thorough. So I'll give you an example. So if somebody said, terrible product. Okay, well, that doesn't necessarily violate Amazon's guidelines, but that also isn't a thorough review, right? Amazon wants a review that if I write a review, myself as a consumer can look at it. Terrible product doesn't tell me if you've tried it for a year, you've tried it for 6 months, you bought it once and tried it for an hour, you tried it 3 times a day. Amazon likes a review, right? So me as a consumer can look at this and say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Oh, you tried it for 3 months, you bought it 6 times and you didn't see any results. I think that's a valid review. If you just said, hey, I bought it and they bought it a week ago and they just got it and they tried it once, like, have you really given it enough time, right? And the other side of this is that we also, for us, our goal is not to grab every critical or grab all reviews and get them removed, right? As I said, they have to be in violation of Amazon's guidelines. I do think, even though it hurts a little bit, stings a little bit, I do think there is value in negative reviews, though. I do think there is, like, obviously, if you want to pivot or be able to make changes, I'm not oh my God, let's get rid of all reviews, because guess what? There's some, you as an owner, if you own that brand, you should be looking at those and saying, hey, somebody keeps saying there's a problem with this. If it's not, FBA or something like that, like, hey, it smells like this. And if you have 10 people that say it smells like this, guess what? It probably smells like this, or there's an issue with it or something like that. So you're never going to get 100% great reviews, right? I mean, you get to a certain point. In fact, it's very suspect if you only get great reviews. You've got to a certain status and you're getting so amount of sales. there's something very fishy for me. Obviously, I'm in the industry, so I'm, subject matter expert. I look at things and I can see things that other people can't. But if, as a consumer, I want a 4.6, 4.7, 4.8. I want to know that there is still, not everybody's going to love this product. And especially if you're like a supplement or you're a drink or you're something like that. I mean, your taste buds and my taste buds and what I like and what you like, there's always going to be something going on there. The some of the products we see not a lot of critical reviews because it's very straightforward, right? It's a very easy product, easy to use. People know how to use it. If I go and I'm writing a review about this mug right here, well, guess what? I don't need a QR code to learn how to use it. I don't need, as long as it works for the most part, you're going to see a lot less critical reviews on those because as long as I can put my coffee and my tea in it and, it's not toxic and all the things are happening, we're good at that point, right? So that's another thing. If you're a seller listening to this, think about what is a product that you want to sell that doesn't have a crazy learning curve, or there's going to have, somebody tries one thing and you have 1,000 different opinions. Not to say don't do that. I'm just saying, when you put your baby, which is your product, out to the world, the world can be a little rough sometimes. So just be ready. If you're doing that, what I always tell people is try to look at it. And when somebody writes a review or does something like that, don't look at it as like they're attacking your baby, which I know it feels that way because I've had plenty of products that I've done and I've felt that way. It's like, hey, how can I make that product better, right? So once again, reviews are, and even negative reviews are very, very important. We just go after the ones that, once again, that either fraudulent or ones that Amazon says they shouldn't be up there anyways. So that's, we're abiding by the rules of Amazon's rules and we want to file accordingly.
Absolutely. And yeah, I've always thought that your negative reviews are, the one way to look at it is these are real customers giving you real feedback. They're actually advocates for the success of the product. They want your product to be a good product, and they're actually telling you how to get there, right? So there's certainly utility in those negative reviews. The thing that reminds me of too is you'll watch a review video on YouTube, like a tech review video. Whenever I watch a tech review video on YouTube about something, I'm always listening for legitimate negative points about the product because that makes me trust the rest of the video because I'm wondering, is this a real review? Is this person being paid by the brand? Is this legit? So I'm always listening for legit negative stuff because then it gives weight to the positive stuff that they're saying too. So I think, I'm always suspicious of like a 5.0 Amazon product. Like I kind of want to see like a 4.7 as a consumer, right?
You do, because that's what we look at is, well, and definitely for you and I being in the industry, if I see a 5.0, if you just started and you only have 3 reviews, awesome. But if you have 300 reviews and they're all 5 stars, I'm super suspect, right? Like at the end of the day, like you can't tell me that nobody has anything to say about, you have 300 people or even more. These are only the people that wrote the reviews. You're trying to tell me you sold 1,000 units and not one person has something sideways to say? Like, that's very suspect, especially in the current environment. Everybody has an opinion, which can be good or not be good. But, I look at those and I don't know. I call it my spider sense, man. It just starts to tingle a little bit. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Something doesn't seem right about that. But so that's what I tell, people that are selling on Amazon. I'm like, if you get a bad review, you don't need to go nuts, right? You don't need to lose your mind. What we have to do is, do you have a strategy to be able to get more positive reviews and then go and let's clean up the negative reviews, right? What happens is when people don't have a strategy, and so it's like anything. The analogy I always use is like, let's say you're going to go do a speech, right? Like, and I've used to do a lot of speaking internationally and all over. If I'm not prepared for that speech, guess what? When I get up there, I'm going to be, like I got to make sure my zipper's up. I got to make sure my shoes are tied so I'm not going to fall, like all the things that can go wrong, right? But it's the same thing with reviews. If you don't have a plan with what you need to do, when you come and get attacked, when something happens, you're not prepared for it, right? And so that becomes a downside. If I go and I'm, my speech, I get up on stage and I practice it for 10 hours and I know it up and down, guess what? I'm going to be very confident on stage. I'm going to know that anybody's question that comes at me, that I'm going to be able to answer that because I know my presentation, I know the material. It's the same thing with reviews. Most of the time when people freak out about reviews is because they're not ready, right? You get a 1-star review and you're like, man, I didn't really have a plan on how to get more positive reviews. And then you're staring at this thing, I got a great product, and maybe it is a legit review or maybe it's a competitor. I mean, that happens a lot in like supplements and beauty and pet. somebody will come in and see that you're new to the market or you're starting to get some traction. And then automatically, if you're used to getting 3 1-stars a month, all of a sudden you get 30 and they go, hey, what's going on? Well, you can be on somebody's radar, right? I'm not saying that's always what happens, but that's something that we look at. It's called review velocity. And there's a number of things that our software takes a look at from a fraudulent perspective to see if there's anything that's funny going on. But as I said, most of our stuff is with Amazon's guidelines. That's kind of where we spend most of our time because that's where the things happen all day long in regards to reviews.
Yeah, and if a seller or a competitor leaves a 1-star review, I mean, I assume that's a big no-no for Amazon. Like that sellers are leaving negative reviews against other sellers. Is that like a bannable offense if you're a seller, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so usually what happens is this. So one of the things that we looked at, and we touched on a little bit, I'll go into a little deeper detail. So you have, let's say you sell creatine, right? And you have a creatine that's not a crazy creatine that you guys, patent anything, but it's a creatine that, most people can, get access to. And then what happens is, so they come and they have a buyer's account, and what they're doing is you're using this buyer's account to come and buy your products and give you a 1-star review. So let me ask you this, Rob. I'll put you on the hot seat. You're a smart man. I mean, I know you very well at this point. So, I mean, that's not debatable. You got AI stuff. You got all kinds of amazing stuff going, brother. That's true. So let me ask you this. So if you buy a product on Amazon and you absolutely hate it, Rob, how many more do you buy? Just you as a consumer?
None.
That's the right answer, Rob. I was a little nervous for you there for a hot second, but that is exactly, it's like, why would I buy a second one and hate it and a third one and hate it? Yeah, just me as a consumer. Everybody else can buy 4 or 5 and hate them. So really, we just look at it. That's not even that's just a statistical thing, right? Statistically, that's just not the way it works. So what happens in our system is we go and we look at that and we say, hey, we got, John Smith that just happened to buy 5 of our products this last month and gave us a 1-star review. He bought the same products or even similar products. Then it feels like an attack. And then what we do is we go look at Rob's account or whoever, John's account, and we look at it and guess what? He just happened to be buying our competitors and only giving them 5 stars. The creatines are very similar, both whey proteins or, there's nothing that's revolutionary. This one's way different. This one's, new in the future. Elon Musk made it or something. And this one is the old one that whatever, like it's been around for 30 years and nobody's changed the formula and it's toxic, right? Like those are going to be, obviously you can't compare those two things, but if they're comparable, then we look at that. If they're only buying their product and giving them 5 stars, like what is that's when we go ahead and flag it. Now, what Amazon will do, our goal is to get that buyer's account removed. So guess what? Our clients lose their 1 stars, and guess what the competitors lose? Is their 5 stars, right? So very seldom. Well, let me tell you this. I don't usually reach out when I do that to the competitors and go, "Hey, did Amazon come slap you?" And like, what happened over there? We want to make sure that what we did worked. We don't do that. I don't know if Amazon actually would ban those accounts. I think there would you'd have to be able to prove that was theirs, right? This is all statistically, this looks like that, but you're not going to go and give somebody a 10-year prison sentence unless it's concrete. You can definitely get rid of the buyer's account and say there's something funny there, unless they have the same address and same owner's name on both. Usually people, the scam people are smarter than that. The other thing we look at is that maybe if somebody, so what they did outside of this, so you have one person that wrote all these reviews. Then what they realize is, let's do this from different buyers' accounts. So we got 4 buyers' accounts. You hire a VA, you give them 10 really bad comments, they copy and paste them. And what we do is we tie those in and say, how is it that John from LA and Jennifer from Las Vegas wrote the exact same review 3 times?
Smart.
Right? Because there's no way that happens. One, maybe, terrible product, maybe. But the more letters you write or the more words you write, the more explanation rights that you put on there, you're making statistically almost impossible to be able to do that. So those are the types of things that we look at. We're constantly looking at black hat strategies and what people are doing and figuring out how we can reverse it and really put a spotlight on it so Amazon can see all the cockroaches. That was a mean thing to say. I don't mean they're cockroaches, but it feels like it. And so our goal is to put the light on that and say, Amazon, we're going to stop this. And we want to even the playing field for sellers. That's really what it comes down to. It's already hard enough with tariffs and PPC costs and all this stuff that we have to deal with as consumers, increased costs. We're looking at this and saying, okay, hey, let's just leave it even playing field, right? If you have a better product, you're going to sell more units, right? I mean, that's just usually what it comes down to. So that's kind of what we focus on, and we're constantly evolving and trying to make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you feel like, and I'm not sure what your relationship is with Amazon, but Like, do you feel like Amazon appreciates like all this detective work that you're doing? Like, do you feel like, because I mean, it's making, you're providing a higher quality and more authentic shopping experience, basically.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, that is our goal, right? We always look at it, we're kind of the backup to Amazon. Amazon obviously stops a high percentage of those reviews that come in, and we're kind of the, the ones that kind of do the cleanup. Like I said, we've never had an account get suspended or anything like that. I mean, or Amazon and I, my hanging out with Jeff Bezos on his yacht. I haven't got the invite yet, so that hasn't happened. I'm still waiting, I mean, just got new swim trunks and everything. Like, I'm super excited. I mean, I haven't tanned at all, so that would be a little scary for everybody on board. But yeah, I mean, we have a good relationship with Amazon, but it's not like we have a relationship where we have one person we deal with at Amazon, right? Like, we're filing cases and sending emails to a lot of the same, places that other people are sending them to, except we have, when things change, we know where to go and we know the terminology and we constantly see things because of the data that we have. So, Amazon, we have a good relationship. We're not like best friends by any means, but we definitely, our goal is to create a nice, great file, a case, or an email and say, hey, here goes another one that slipped through. No, no harm, no foul. If you guys can get this removed, we really appreciate it. They removed the review. It's a little bit more nuanced than that. It's not quite as easy as clicking report and filing one case and getting Amazon to remove the review. Our goal is to stay on top of Amazon, but not bombard Amazon, right? We don't want to make Amazon mad or anything. So, we know that, hey, if you can do this on Amazon without getting in trouble, we're doing it way down here. Our goal is, we've never had accounts suspended, and I would pray, knock on wood, that we would never get an account suspended because we are over the top compliant with Amazon. We would never want to put even lack of the money that we would miss out on it. It comes down to, this is how sellers feed their family. So we take that very seriously. I've had clients of ours offer me big bucks to like double up and triple up and go harder after some ASINs, and I won't do it because I don't want to ever, want to be able to tell people we've never had anybody get suspended. And I had 2 brands that offered me 6 figures that said, hey, we'll give you on one ASIN, one ASIN. This wasn't like the whole merchant token. And I just said, you guys, I just, I can't, if Amazon says this is the max, I don't want to get anywhere close to that. Even though you guys said it's okay, I just, anyways, they're big companies, so if they lost one brand, they're not going to, be bankrupt. But I'm like, I just can't do that. I got to stay compliant. And for me, I want to always stay compliant. I don't want to go, oh, we're compliant except for this one brand that pushed me to file too many cases and make Amazon mad. But other than that, we're really cool. We wouldn't do that again. It's like, it doesn't feel the same, right? I got to stick with my morals and my ethics and what works with Amazon.
Yeah, well, I think that's always the right call to do things ethically. Play the long game. Don't compromise for some quick cash, whatever. Like, how many sellers overall? Like, what % of sellers do you think are aware of reputation management, getting reviews removed? Like, do you think that this is still kind of like, have most sellers kind of figured this out and are trying to do it, or do you find a lot of brands having like this aha moment of like, oh yeah, we should have done this like a long time ago?
Well, first, when we started, we were the original company to do it. So there was nobody that we followed, and we paved the way. So the reason I'm telling you that, the journey was very different than, we do have some competitors now, not really anything that's major competitors, but some people that validated this space for us. I mean, really, there's not competition to me is never a bad thing, because we are the originals. We're the ones who did it. We're the only ones that have software. We do continuous monitoring. So there's definitely some value. Most of these other companies are starting where we were at 3 years ago. So not to badmouth them, because everybody starts somewhere. So to me, as long as they take care of sellers, hey, it's all good. But what we're looking at is when we started doing this and started looking at sellers and what we want to go after. I mean, our goal is, as I said, has always been to help sellers, right? We want to be able to make sure that people are doing the right things. And most sellers back in the day had no idea we were even around, and then didn't think that we could do it, right? There was this big, heavy thing of like, hey, not possible. And what we were doing in the beginning was like, hey, we'll do a retainer. So now when we first started, you don't believe that we can do it. And now I'm like, hey, why don't you give me a big retainer? How many people do you think I closed, Rob? Like probably 0, right? Like, I mean, we actually did get a few people, but the point is like, well, I don't believe you can do it. Now you want all kinds of money so you can bill against like an attorney. Like, it doesn't make sense. So what we did was we flipped it on its head and said, but how about if you just pay for reviews that get removed? And they go, why would you do that? And I was like, because we can remove reviews. Like I'm not here to go down that road and be like, you're right, we can't remove reviews. And so that's what we did. We based it off that model, and that's when the business absolutely flipped. I will tell you, if I do last year, I did 1,100 demo calls for TraceFuse, like myself. Like, yes, I mean that's how it took off. Some of it, we do a lot of marketing, PPC, and, we have a good newsletter, and, I'm number 2 right now on LinkedIn for Amazon FBA. So my point of telling you that is we've done a lot of a marketing background. We have tons of different ways that we, can to push leads, but a lot of our leads are referrals now. They come from either partnerships or people that have had some success. So that was the value of this when people started to see success. And, you have all these Amazon groups, you have, the Orthodox Jew guys, and you guys have the Mormons, and you have these really interesting groups. Well, guess what? The minute they started having some success, they said, hey, these guys are, you don't need to be the first person in line. I'm already doing it and things are working. So they started referring people, and, that's how we were able to accelerate our growth to the level that we're at today. And so, that wasn't an easy thing to do. That was difficult because, we had this mountain to climb. But now we have probably 15 video testimonials from clients on our website that are talking about what their pain point was. And those things mean more to me than any sales we could bring in, because those are people that are talking from their heart and saying, hey, this is what these guys were able to do. And that anytime I get a testimony, you can ask anybody on my team, I lose my marbles. I love it, because it's like these people are vouching for us, man. They're saying, hey, or if anybody refers somebody to us, like, I don't take that lightly, man. It takes, you've referred people to us. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, you believe in me, you believe in the company, what we can do. And I just don't take that lightly, man. Like, to me, that is my most prideful moment outside of the sales and the things that we've done. It's like just, people trusting us and knowing that we have a valid service and that we can help them. So that's where I get excited. My wife, I don't tell my wife about sales as much as I do as a testimonial. And she's like, you're just an odd bean. I'm like, I know, I am a little odd, it is what it is.
I think anyone doing something really big, I think that obsession is like essential, right? And I think that I love people that have obsessions. Like, I think to be an entrepreneur, you have to be unusually obsessed, and I think to everyone else that looks a little wacky, but it's not wacky. It's I'm the same way. Like,
you get it.
That's where the magic happens, and it's 2026. What should sellers be aware of with the review landscape in 2026? Like, is there anything is anything changing with regard to Amazon's policies? That's one question. And then the last question is, like, when people are launching new products, is it more important to address the review issue, like nip it in the bud with a new product? Is that like the right time to really take it seriously, or should you wait for some reviews to kind of come in first? Or what's your recommendation with that?
Yeah. So, what I'm seeing in 2026 and beyond is, Amazon just made the change of, the parent ASIN with the child ASINs and sharing reviews. So that's a big one. And so we're seeing some changes there. With our system, it doesn't matter because the reviews come in, and whatever your reviews are, we'll file cases on whether it's a parent or a child or whatever. The other thing I think, and kind of what you're touching on is the landscape of, of reviews and what that might look like, and, what does the future hold? I think it's always going to be changing, right? There's always going to be new strategies, new this, new that. I would highly recommend what I always try to encourage sellers to be. In fact, I had a call literally earlier today, and the guy, actually he signed up, but he's out of Florida. And God, what was his name? But anyways, he said something to me, and I just kind of smirked, and he's like, what do you smile about? Because I didn't kind of smirk. I gave him a big old smile. And I was like, well, you're being proactive, not reactive. And I said, I just don't see that with a lot of sellers. I've said it a million times on podcasts. For me, it's like, what we look at, and this is a kind of a dumb analogy because we all have alarms now that kind of come, they come with the car. But back in the day, most people would go and get an alarm after their car got broken into. Somebody stole your car stereo, pull out, so I'm aging myself here. You pull the thing out, you go run off, and you're like, oh crap, now I need an alarm, man. That's terrible. Okay, great. But imagine if you would have put your alarm on before that, right? Because then what's going to happen is guy or girl that are going to come take your thing. They're going to, this is too much work. That could be loud. I'm going to go to the neighbor's car. And they steal the neighbor's car, which, you don't want anybody stealing anything, but you get my point. So what I tell people is be more proactive than reactive, right? So this guy was saying, hey, listen, we're a newer product, just launched 18 months ago. They only had 8 critical reviews, but that's a great time to get involved with us, because guess what? If you have only 8 critical reviews and we remove one, well, guess what? That's 13% of your negative reviews. That's a high percentage. Now, the downside for us is we don't have as much to file on, right? So if we only have 3 to file on, then if we get ignored by Amazon, that process for getting that removed can take a little longer. It just does, right? Now, if you have 300 critical reviews, guess what? We have a lot more we can file on, and we can start get some traction a little sooner. Now, I'm not saying go get critical reviews so that we can, make some money off of you. That's not what I'm saying. You want to keep it as least amount of critical reviews as you can. But the value is if you get involved earlier and we remove that review, even if we don't remove a review, we monitor you moving forward. So now we're protecting you guys, which is a really, really big thing that we implemented about a year and a half ago. Because everybody said, that's awesome, you clean it up, but what happens if I get attacked before Prime Day or Christmas or whenever my big sales come in? Well, now we monitor. So when those reviews come in, if anything violates Amazon's guidelines, my team, the software detects it, but then we have our team, we manually file those cases. So that's where I tell people, be more proactive, right? Because if you get to a point, what you don't want to do is get to a point that you were at a 4.3 and you drop to a 4.2, and you've been at a 4.2 for 6 months, and we have to remove, 50 reviews, depending on what the sales is and, the profitability and the category and all that. Sometimes that doesn't make sense. I've had clients that I've said, hey, listen, man, this could cost you 10 grand. What are you making? And he's like, well, I'm selling these things for $10. I get them for, $6. And with tariffs, I'm making 50 cents. Well, I'm not going to tell you to sign up with us. That doesn't make sense from an ROI perspective. In fact, we have a new ROI calculator that we came out with about 6 months ago where they can click on it. It'll tell you, hey, this is how many reviews we think we need to remove. This is what your the profit would be after the first month and after the 6th month. It's based off of AI, but they can actually put in their real numbers to see what the potential profitability is. And I do that because, I obviously would make more money by people just blindly making decisions. I don't want you to blindly make a decision. I'm trying to educate you to say, hey, does this make sense? And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And so, I've talked many people out of signing up with us, and I've had many people that I've talked it out of it, and they've said, hey, we're still going to sign up, which is awesome. But once again, it's not a, hey, let me collect some money from you. It's like, hey, let's make the best decision, because guess what's going to happen? If I bring you in and nothing happens and I oversell you on something, and you don't have any success, you're going to be like, those guys are, they can't do anything. If I'm very realistic with you and we have some good success, guess what, Rob? You're going to go tell everybody that you know. And so that's what we've based this off of. We've built a very transparent thing of saying, hey, listen, this is what I think could happen. Like people say, oh, what do you think it's going to take to go to 4.3? Well, we have this software, but you can, or a calculator you can look at. Now, there is no guarantee. Maybe it says you have to remove 15 reviews. Maybe it's only 12, or maybe it's 17. The idea of it is, would you invest anything within this range to be able to make this much more profit? And that's really what it comes down to, right? Nobody's going to spend $5,000 today to make $5,000 back in 6 months. That probably doesn't make sense, right? So anyways, that was kind of the goal there, is to be able to, but get involved early. I'm telling you that it's, it actually is a lot less money for me. The bigger clients are the ones that have a lot of reviews. That's where I make my money. I'm telling you, with the smaller ones, get involved now. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. It's only performance driven. Now is the time to get involved. But if you're a big client, we want you to. I love you. I love everybody. So I want to make sure that everybody's equal opportunity. Come on in and say hi.
Yeah, I love that. I love the be proactive rather than reactive. And the ROI calculator is a very smart idea, because I think you can really help people make a quick decision. And it's like a no-brainer for many, many sellers to dive into that. And so, man, this has been really educational. I know you said you have a couple other things going on. Do you want to tell people, give people a little sneak peek on anything else?
Yeah. I mean, we do specialize in U.S., Canada, and U.K. So that's where we're looking at. We're looking to expand, obviously, outside of that. the hard part with expanding is the process for filing. It's like starting a whole brand new business, right? So that's the hard part. So we are looking to expand. And then I have some other software tools outside of the Amazon space that we're working on as well. So just some exciting stuff there. I can't tell you too much yet because we're, in our, I hate to say stealth mode, but it's stealth mode. So we got some good stuff coming there. But I also wanted to give you a shout out, man. Like, not only what you guys have built, obviously, on the video side of things, but I had one of my team members come and take your AI thing, and she loved it, man. I will tell you that right now. We were thoroughly impressed with it. She came back to me and said, this was awesome. And so I wanted to give you some kudos there. Everybody's talking about AI, which is awesome, but the fact that you bring people on and that you actually run them through a process and have them run prompts and do things, and you guys evaluate that, like, it's hands-on training. So I wanted to thank you, because we couldn't be happier about signing up, and you're doing some amazing things there. I know that's not what this podcast is about, but if you guys are hearing this, Rob's probably going to be too humble to bring it up. I am not going to be too humble to bring it up. I'll tell you right now, it's an absolutely amazing course, and once again, we're very, very thankful that we signed up, and thank you again, Rob. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the shout out, and we've been having, like you said, great workshops, giving people hands-on AI training and actually, building their own automations, which in my opinion, and I think most people would agree, kind of puts you in the top 1% of AI users right now. If you can actually build a workflow and integrate ChatGPT APIs into that and actually design work and get it done. It's been really, really cool kind of seeing the light bulbs go off with everybody. So I really appreciate that shout out, and I'm really glad she's enjoying it. So
she's loving it. I'm telling you right now, she came back to me. I got to be honest, I was a little jealous. I was like, man, I knew it should have been me, but she's loving it, man. So thanks again. It's been awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. And this has been so great. As always, you are who we refer when someone is saying we need reviews taken away, or hey, how can we get improve our reputation online? I mean, Trace Fuse is you're the OG in the space, and it totally shows, and it's really inspiring, like seeing how you've built this company up and, like you said, climb that mountain and everything. And so just really appreciate you, and thanks for sharing with us today. It's been awesome.
Yeah, Rob, thanks for having me, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah, we'll have this up real soon, and we'll hope to have you on again soon as well. So
I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Have a good one.